Bonjour.
Bonjour.
This is ScreenGab. I'm Bianca.
And I'm SJ.
And today we are obviously doing Beauty and the Beast.
The new one.
Woo!
The live action.
Yes.
Disney.
Yeah.
With Emma Watson. And other people who are not as important. I mean, they're great. The whole cast is great.
I guess my takeaway from this movie, I thought it was kind of a mixed bag. I thought it was visually beautiful, but to me it just seemed kind of dead behind the eyes.
I really enjoyed it. It was really, really faithful, really similar to the original cartoon, which I didn't mind because I love the original cartoon, but it's sort of like, is this movie really necessary?
Yeah.
They didn't really change that much. It wasn't like a new spin on the tale. I mean, it was like, there were some things that they added, there were some songs, but a lot of it was like shot for shot the same, except with real people and, you know, costumes, which does take a lot of like artistic talent, especially if it was like someone like, oh, look at this photo shoot that I did in my backyard where I exactly mimicked the costumes and the lighting and everything. I would be like, that's amazing. And I was sitting there watching this going, this is fun and I like it and I hope they do the exact thing. Oh, they did. But then it's like, not sure this was necessary on such a grand scale.
I don't know.
I would watch it again. And I probably will.
I would not watch it again. I did think, though, that they, like, changed stuff. But just barely.
Yeah,
like,
not enough to really affect the story.
Like, I felt like they gave Belle a little more agency than she meets the Beast.
This movie made it more of her choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it was her choice in the original, too, but it was more of, like, a willful, like, I don't know.
But also, doesn't the Beast see her, like, before she properly, like, meets the... What do you even call them? The servants, the houseware,
I think so.
Yeah, where I felt like that was like the opposite in the original movie.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, and I really should have watched this beforehand. Good job, Bianca. That is all to say. I did feel like they changed some stuff, but it was like...
It was like minor. It was like, oh, her mother, which we never talked about in the cartoon, but she had one, and she's dead, and here's this backstory, which was fine. And then, like, the servants, oh, no, we deserve this curse, too, because we didn't do anything to stop him from becoming such a horrible monster of a human. I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, especially with, like, how they were saying, oh, his father was terrible, and that's why he's terrible. I'm like, cool motive.
I kind of took that to mean, and then they didn't stop his father either, but that's like putting them in a weird position of like losing their job, because they're not really his family until really after he turns into a beast.
Yeah, there's a really weird justification. It's trying to explain, I think, why the whole castle was cursed and not just him, but it was like, I feel like you're trying to make it sound like, oh, it's not the beast's fault that he's such a horrible guy who has no empathy for other people because his dad was maybe harsh, but also he was really rich and privileged, and I don't know. Like, at some point, you have to take responsibility for your actions.
I was just about to say, like, you have to be accountable.
But honestly, that's a problem with the original. One of the problems with this whole thing for me is, like, there really isn't that much romance between the Beast and Belle.
Oh, I didn't believe it at all.
It was a little bit more in this because it wasn't just one song montage. They actually had some dialogue, but at the same time, it's like, what is there?
I did not believe they would end up in love. From what we see in the film...
No, but if I were Belle, I might be like, well, for the library, it's worth it.
No, see,
which is how I feel about
and let me tell you what I think. I don't think they would have ended up in love at all, but it did seem like they were on a path to becoming really good friends who understood each other in a way that almost all of the other characters wouldn't have been able to understand them. And so I felt like there was value in that, but it did not. It seemed like really forced.
Well,
that they
and
would
it does
be
kind
in
of,
love
I guess
and
if
end
you
up
think
together.
about like the rest of the village and the way that Belle's treated, it makes a little more sense that she would be like, oh, here's a person who like treats me as an equal and can talk about these things, and something would be attractive in that, I guess. But I don't know. I've
but not necessarily. Like, it seems like there would be something in that would be like friendship.
Right.
And not necessarily attractive.
But the friendship happens during the song. You know, that supposedly, there's something there that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
How long of a time span is that song? I don't know. But it seems like it needs to be a couple of months instead of a couple of days. But
still wasn't quite working for me.
I know some criticism I saw was saying, like with the original version, they have to have Gaston so that the Beast looks like a good romantic partner in comparison, because Gaston is so terrible, and that's, you know, instead of the Beast being like worthy himself. And I feel like there's probably some validity to that. But at the same time, Gaston was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Because he's hilarious. He's awful, but he, like, goes all out. And
did you think that this iteration was different than the first one?
No. I mean, it's a little more a little more over the top, but it's pretty over the top in the cartoon.
I thought Gaston in the 2017 version was like a little more self-aware than the Gaston of the 1991 version, but maybe I was just like...
but I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's just that it's a person instead of a cartoon.
Yeah.
A lot of the mannerisms and things that he does as a live person versus the cartoon, it has a different vibe, but it's really similar.
Because honestly, like, this movie, it just felt to me almost done. Like, it seemed like a lot of things were like really thought out only to come to the same conclusion, but you could tell that they thought about it a lot first. It's just weird. I did want to get to this and say that Emma Watson does not have a singing voice befitting a musical or any just sort of like singing film at all.
I mean, it was okay. It was passable.
And you do get used to it, or at least I did. Like, you can tell a lot at first, and then it just...
Yeah, I felt like her singing was okay. Like, it wasn't where I was, like, distracted by how bad it was the whole time. Because it wasn't bad. It just was okay. And
that
not,
is a
like,
description
great.
to me for this entire movie.
But I love Emma Watson.
Yeah.
Just want to say that.
SJ loves Emma. Okay. One of my family members was asking me if they should see this, and I said no. What you just said about her singing voice just, like, describes the whole movie to me, where it wasn't, like, really bad.
Yeah, you wouldn't regret going to see it.
But
it's fine. But if you miss it and you wait for it to come out on DVD or Netflix, that's also fine.
Yeah. Also, if you just didn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
It would be fine.
Yeah, just watch the original again. This is totally related to nothing we just said, but one of the things that I really did like about it was her dress, that yellow dress in the ballroom scene. It was amazing. And I remember reading something about talking about how much fabric and thread they used for that. And I was thinking of that during that scene. And also we watched it in 3D, so maybe it popped a little more. But just the whole time she was wearing that, I was just watching the skirt swoosh around. And I was like, ugh. I love it. Part of how much I enjoyed it was because I did go with a group and I got all excited and made a big thing out of it. Yeah. And I'm planning to go back and take my nieces. And
SJ made, I mean, what would you, like, Rice Krispies and cookies that were, like, themed. Like, she went all out because that's how she rolls.
You can check pagelady.com.
Girl. I thought that the pacing seemed weird, like the first half or maybe the first 2/3, and then like just the ending. I think that I couldn't quite tell if it was just because it was action that it seemed more cohesive, or if it was that it was just better, like in the ending. Like it just all of a sudden seemed like legitimate to me.
I think maybe the pacing felt a little weird because they inserted all these scenes, like because a lot of it is like, this is exactly how it happens in the cartoon, except it's real people. And then it was like, plus an extra scene. And so it doesn't have quite the same flow.
Yeah. I couldn't tell either. See, I feel like we're having like different experiences. Like I thought some things like lasted way too long. That song in the beginning, and then she's like palling around her house or whatever. And it just seemed to last forever, and I didn't understand why it was lasting so long. But then I was like, Bianca, is this actually bad pacing? Or are you just anticipating the pacing of the original film?
I did think a weird thing about that song at the beginning, and like the reprise after Gaston like proposes kind of, but not really awkward way. Anyway, it was a little bit weird because I was like, who is she singing to? Who is she talking to? She's like, is he gone? And then she starts singing about how she doesn't want to be his wife, and I think the original is like that too, but it just struck me like, because it seemed weird that she was talking to herself. The animal sidekick that these Disney princesses usually have that they're talking to, like, I don't remember if she has one in the original cartoon or not. Like, I don't think she does.
I think like there's
maybe she has
a
like
horse for a little bit, but it's not really like her sidekick proper.
There's like a pig, like, I don't know. It was just, that felt a little weird to me where she was just like talking to herself about how, but she is odd, as the townspeople say. It's just so weird. It's a thing in the original too. I don't know. We're always making it political here. But it is, okay? Everything is The fact that the townspeople in their song are like literally saying that it's a sin that she doesn't fit in. It's a pity and a sin. She doesn't quite fit in, blah, 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 blah. This is a harmful attitude. And then you see at the end why it's so harmful, because they literally get whipped up into a frenzied mob because somebody's different. Look at his fangs. Let's go kill him. And it's like, this is really dangerous. This is why we need to...
Yeah.
This is why we need to speak out against this kind of rhetoric that others people in a harmful way, and it's like, well, they're different. Well, okay, that's fine. They can be different. Let's not say that it's a pity and a sin that they don't fit in, they're so odd. Let's just be like, this is one of the people in our community, and everyone's valued and respected equally.
Okay, in the beginning, like in the cartoon version, Bella's really wide-eyed. She wants adventure in the great wide somewhere. And I even felt when Watson delivered that line, she almost looked like a little more concerned, or like there was like desperation, which isn't necessarily inappropriate. Like maybe she's like, I really want this, will I have this?
Yeah.
It was just so starkly different from the 1991 version. But even before we get to that point, when she's still in the town, she just seems so like the face.
I was gonna say, you're making a perfect face, but they can't see it, but
yeah, it seemed really off, and like she didn't want to be there, and not Watson didn't want to be there, but like Belle didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was the result of Watson's acting ability. Like I felt like she was being directed in a way, and it just came off really weird.
I think maybe it's a little related to how they added this extra information in this version about how she was originally from Paris, and that's where her mother died and her father had lived, and so it's like this, I don't want to live in this crappy little town where everyone is so close-minded. I wish I could be in Paris, which I don't remember, but it's so cosmopolitan and great, and my dad talks about it, and that's sort of how I read it. It was more discontentment than, oh, I just want adventure. Also, when she sang that line about I want adventure in the great wide somewhere, it was one of the parts I felt like was most noticeable, that her singing was not that great, because it's such a big line, and I was picturing like the cartoon version where she's throwing her arms out, and it's like, oh, and this was like,
and really, in any version that you could imagine, like that would be such a
really
huge
hard to live up
swelling
to.
moment.
And and it just was like, it didn't,
voice
it
is
felt
just
like
not
it didn't
fitting.
fill the moment. And the other time that I thought her singing was really noticeably okay was when she's singing, when she's up with the wardrobe, because the wardrobe is Audra McDonald.
Yeah.
Who's literally a Broadway star. And then she sings, and then Emma Watson sings, and you're like, oh, you guys are different quality voices. I mean, I feel bad criticizing because I'm not a Broadway singer either.
Like, but like not everyone is a Broadway singer, but for this type of film, you would think.
But then, like, would I rather have a good singer who's not a good actor? I don't know. I don't think so, because that's basically what we had with Carrie Underwood in the live action Sound of Music musical.
So why can't you find someone who is a good singer and a good actor?
Well, you can, but then they're not a big enough star to draw in.
See, but do you know that? Do you know that for sure? I feel like if we paused this, took some time to look up people, we could probably find someone age appropriate.
Oh, yeah, but they wouldn't already be a household name. The producers don't want to take that risk.
I disagree. I think we could find someone who's already a household name that would be that age that could sing and act.
But they wouldn't be Emma Watson.
No, and honestly, I think that's the appeal for a lot of people.
I probably would see pretty much anything that she is in anyway, but Hermione being Belle, there's so many connections there.
Oh, and there were like straight up like
really like headstrong, and like smart, and
there were definitely connections within her character, but then there were also like there was this guy who was like, it was just straight up Neville Longbottom. He had something, but he couldn't remember where it was, and I was like, what?
But then he was at the end. It was Mr. Potts.
Yeah, and then he remembered that part. And then the part when we see her for the first time in the yellow dress, it was almost the same like pan.
Oh yeah.
Like there were like multiple times where I was just like, this is call out to these HP movies.
Also, Castle Full of Magic.
Yeah,
kind of like Hogwarts.
That's
the obvious one. Well, the whole curse is really weird, and having part of it be that everyone forgot you if they weren't in the castle at the time. Like, this husband forgets his wife and kid. Like, what if he got remarried? Like, in the meantime, because he couldn't remember. Like, it just seems like a really questionable.
Convenient.
Yeah. So, am I right that the Enchantress was this Abigail or Agatha or whatever her name was, that was this outcast woman in the village that, like, Gaston is like, you don't want to be an old spinster like her, Belle, you better marry me.
Yeah.
And then she, like, rescues Maurice later. Like, that was the Enchantress, right?
I think so.
I'm not 100%
And if
sure.
not, both of those characters were purposefully quiet.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be
not
her.
being malicious.
Is she just trying to keep an eye on things? Or, like, all these people are, like, really mean to her all the time. Why does she curse them? Like, if the whole point is, like, you can't judge people by their appearances. Speaking of judging people by their appearances, by the way, that was one of my favorite parts. At the beginning, when they have, like, the narration about the curse, and the prince is, like, in his little powdered face.
Oh my gosh, with that eyeshadow.
Yeah, but there's, like, no dialogue, because it's just the narration. And so he just, like, takes her rose, and then he just sneers at it really, like, over dramatically, and he's like, I
don't remember this at all.
It's hilarious. It's a really little moment, but it made me laugh out loud.
Cool. I might actually watch it again just to see that, because now I feel like I need to see it.
Just watch the first, 2 minutes.
Okay.
All that, face paint at the beginning was really kind of ridiculous, but then I sort of see why they did it, because at the end when they're, coming out of their enchantments, they still have it. So it helped, tie them to their objects a little more than if it was, 100% human.
I also thought it was supposed to kind of make him look like a beast in a way, through, obviously, way slight makeup, but... And so I thought they were kind of hinting he's already kind of a beast.
Or he's
in his character.
A mask that doesn't reflect what he's really like inside.
Except he's really not nice inside.
Yeah, but his face was painted oh, I am amazing.
I'm fabulous. Deal with it. Okay, at the end, everyone's turned back and they're dancing. The prince looks at Belle and growls at her.
No, first she says, he's like, what? And she's like, how would you feel about growing a beard?
Oh.
And then he growls.
It was weird. I literally was in the theater and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's a very bestial growl. I mean, it's
they straight up sampled an animal or
it's
input.
So it's weird, first of all, that he's a human and he can still growl like that. And it's also weird, the whole undertones of the scene. I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I kind of, I want to say I like it, but then I'm like, is this a kid's movie?
I didn't like it.
Well, I like that she wants him to grow a beard, because, he would be hotter with a beard, because most people are. And also because, she fell in love with him as, a hairy person, or beast, or whatever. I mean, he would look more he looked when she, developed feelings or whatever. But then it's weird that he growls, because then it makes it, it just makes it weird. But also, I'm pro-beard, so. But
you're
literally
halfway
the last
there.
line of dialogue.
Yes to beard, no to growl.
Well, if it was more of a human growl and it was just I would be fine with that. It would still be a little weird, but it would be a lot less weird. It would be it just opens up a whole can of what are the implications here supposed to be about nothing.
I feel like you're getting into a bestiality realm that you don't want to name.
I feel like that's what it's hinting at, and it's really weird that she's oh, I preferred you as a beast, but now you're human. Let's get.
But now she loves him, even though he's a human.
Yeah,
because she's looking beyond his weird human skin at his beastness. You explain this to me as being printed a lot, so in places you could read it as this exclusively gay moment.
That's what the producer said.
Oh,
this is Disney's first exclusively gay moment. We should look at the whole quote.
That is the weirdest phrase, by the way.
It is
exclusively gay moment.
Right. It made it sound like this huge deal, and I was suspicious at the time. I was like, this is probably not what he's making it sound like. And then there were all these people that were like, boycott Disney. And there was that one theater in Alabama that was we're not going to show this. And there was a whole country of Malaysia that were we're not going to show this. And now Malaysia's showing it, and I don't know what that theater in Alabama or Arkansas or wherever it was is doing. But it was so not that big of a deal.
I didn't think it was a big deal either. I have my own perspective, so I feel like it would be a big deal to other people. There's definitely stuff in it that was not in the original. There's that part where they're dancing, and then LeFou just wraps himself in Gaston's arms.
He's too much or too far.
Yeah, and he's yeah.
But that whole song, that whole song is in the original. They did it a little bit different, blocking, and they had some different lines.
Yeah, I actually really liked that.
I was really missing the line about how he goes stomping around wearing boots like Gaston.
Yeah, which is interesting, because I think that they traded that out for a part where they just have this interim in the song where no one's singing, but they're stomping around.
Yeah.
And I was I like that. I like that line.
They did have the line that, I use antlers in all of my decorating, which is a great line. But that whole song is LeFou singing about what a great manly man Gaston is. Yeah. And so I feel that you could easily read the LeFou character in the cartoon as gay. But it's not, it's a little more subtle.
I didn't at all.
Well, I didn't as a child, but...
Yeah. I do have to say that song is the only part of the original film that I've seen as an adult, and it completely, again, went straight over my head. It just seemed like he was more of a sidekick, and you'd be look how great this guy is. I didn't think of it as, he has a crush on this person, or he's interested in this person at all.
I think it's ambiguous, but I think it's there. It's just subtle, and it can be interpreted that way. And that this version was less subtle, but still not, I don't know. I think it's partly like it's a couple decades after the original, and the cultural context is different, and the audience awareness is also different. Both of those things combined make it a little more like, oh, this guy's probably gay, it seems like.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's not like there was no kiss, there was no this quote-unquote exclusively gay moment. It's just two guys dancing.
Yeah.
And it's
Which, by the way, what we're referencing now is a part at the end when everyone's been turned back.
And it's not Gaston.
At first, LeFou's dancing with a woman, and then he's dancing with a guy. There's this part when Audra, she like shoves all of the wardrobe. She like shoves all of the dresses out of her wardrobe, and she puts them on these three men.
The Tom, Dick, and Stanley from the Gaston song.
And the two on the side like freak out and run away, and the one in the middle he's just pleased as punch to be wearing his dress,
got a big smile,
and he just like glides down the stairs, like
And that's the guy that LeFou is dancing with at the end in that dress. So
and there's also a part where I don't remember, or Mrs. Potts is telling him, like, you're too good for him.
Yes.
Being too good for Gaston.
Because Gaston leaves LeFou trapped under the harpsichord.
Yeah.
And runs
and
off.
Also,
and then
Gaston is a professional douchemeister, so there's that.
Yes, so, like, those things combined, like...
It definitely seemed like more than what you're given in the original film,
yeah,
but it wasn't
but it's not like, this is Disney's first exclusively gay moment. I mean, I guess I just think that's a very questionable claim that there hasn't been any... that's definitely overhyping it. Questionable whether it's even true that this is the first.
And plus, there were... all the things we just mentioned were separate from each other, too. So it's like a moment... is not even the right way to describe what's happening.
And also, like I feel like
one?
they wanted to get credit for the... I mean, I think that this is not just Disney. Like, a lot of studios or whatever are like this. Of like, look how, diverse we are. We have LGBT representation, which is, like, less than 5 seconds, and we way overhyped it, and we really didn't do anything. Like, if you really want... Like, come on. This doesn't count. It's fine. It's whatever, but...
I think that it counts. I think that he's just a side character, but it is small.
Yeah.
Where I think that if you are wanting to be diverse and you want to do it right, just being like, look at how great this is not going to make people who are actually looking for diverse content, films, and art are going to be like, yeah, great. Well, but I do think that kids watching it, like, it's good that he's not just pining after
Gaston
the whole time.
Yeah, I did like that he was like,
and that he's just like, you know what, I don't need to mess around with this guy. Like,
but I'm curious, like, what other people think of that actual representation that was in the movie, because before the movie came out, when it was just the statement from the producer, there were a lot of people that were really pissed off about the way that he described it.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, he's tragically in love with Gaston, and Gaston doesn't love him back. And it was
I saw people.
There were a lot of people who were like, this is not healthy representation.
Yeah.
This is not good for children.
And plus, LeFou, like, being this, like...
the fool, literally, his name is the
and
fool.
that he's supposed to be a bad character. Like, he's not a good person.
Villain.
And so it's like, okay, so you're making the only gay character who's probably gonna have his gay moment for barely, like you're saying, 5 seconds. He's also bad. Like, when you watch it, it's not quite that, like, simple, but it's just...
Yeah, I haven't gone and read any, like, think pieces after having seen the movie about what people thought of it, other than I did a little bit of searching just to be like, okay, what was the actual quote-unquote exclusive gay moment? I wasn't 100% sure which moment it was supposed to be. But yeah, I guess it's supposed to be the dancing, but, like, there was some little... there was all those little things throughout that I was, like, not sure which one was the moment. Which I think is, again, part of the problem with his statement about saying, we have an exclusive moment, instead of just saying, we have a character who is pretty unambiguous. Like, that would be a much less dramatic statement and maybe more accurate.
Yeah. I think as well, like, there's a part where earlier in the film, Gaston tells LeFou that he's surprised that he's not seeing some girl or something, because he's just so great, da-da-da-da. And so, like, I think we kind of get that, like, LeFou is probably gay, but what I think is weird about the statement as well is, like, nothing about what happens to him is, like, exclusively gay. Like, someone who's bisexual could do any of those things. Like, it's not exclusively gay. It just sounds like someone who doesn't really have a lot of context for what people are looking for is, like, making a statement about something.
Yeah, the words are not very well chosen, because even...
It wasn't awful.
I mean, even the saying, like...
It wasn't awful. I thought there was good stuff about it.
Assuming that the moment he's referring to is the dancing at the end between LeFou and this guy who's dressed in a dress and really happy about it, and labeling...
I don't think at the end, but during, just a few minutes before he's wearing the dress. I don't think he's wearing the dress.
You don't think he's wearing it at the end? Okay, I thought he was still dressed...
I think they were both in those, whatever that is.
Okay, well then, we'll have to rewatch.
Yeah, we have
But
to
I'm just saying, I feel
now.
like it's also problematic to apply this one label of gay to that whole moment, when maybe that's not how both of them self-identify.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes dudes are just out dancing. living their lives. I did really like the credits. Don't know why, but I liked it. I don't know, it was
I
like...
don't really remember the credits. What?
Oh my gosh, it was like,
Was it just like showing each character?
It was like a silhouette, and then they would like flood them with light, and then it would be like live action version of the character, and then if they were also whatever it looked like when they
household, whatever.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, I guess I should say that really the household object servants, whatever the proper. I mean, I think they did a pretty good job with them. Like, I was skeptical of how well they were going to be able to CGI the beast and make him not look really weird, but also look like a beast, but also like a potentially human beast. Like,
yeah.
I thought they did good with him and with the clock, the candlestick. Like, everybody was believably, like, okay, believably. I mean, it's magic, you know. But I mean, it looked fake, but still anthropomorphized enough. That they had expressions and things.
Yeah.
It was well done. Maybe that's what they spent all of their time doing.
Maybe.
Instead of what? Like, I don't know, coming up with a new take on it that wasn't just an added scene or, you know, then they had some new songs. And honestly, I wrote down a note like, oh, pick which my favorite of the songs were, my favorite of the new songs. And I don't remember. Like, none of them stick out to me. I remember thinking like, oh, this is a new song. It's fine. Oh, this is a new song. It's fine. The only one that I can even remember is the one that I remember thinking, this is dumb because... It would probably be great out of context, but when the beast is like, go to your father, and, you know, he knows that, like, my rose is about to have its last petal fall, and I'm going to be stuck like this forever, but I have to let her go because I love her. And then he's, like, singing this song about how he can still see her because he loves her, and he
has that mirror.
No, he gave her
I know.
But he's like singing about how he keeps expecting to see her come walking in the room, but she won't, and he knows that she's gone. And it would be a good song by itself if you were just like wanting to sing it for other reasons in your life or whatever. But it's weird for him to sing it like she literally left like 30 seconds ago, and then he sings it as if she's been gone for like 7 years. And then she comes back. She comes back within like an hour. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, it was just a little...
dramatic?
Yeah. To be like... I already miss her so much, and I'm still seeing her. Like, yeah, she just left.
You probably are actually seeing her.
He literally is in that scene. He's like
walking,
looking out the tower, and there she is on her horse, and he can still see her. And so it just sort of undercut the lyrics for me a little bit. Yeah. But speaking of the credits too, I don't think I was paying attention to the visuals because I was paying attention to the audio. Because isn't that where Celine Dion sings whatever song? I don't even remember. But it's definitely a new song because I remember reading about how she was probably trying to get an Oscar with it.
I thought that it was the old song.
No, she sings a new one, and then John Legend and Ariana Grande sing
the old one. Man, okay. Cool.
And it was fine. I mean, I was waiting for it because I knew they were going to sing it, and then I was like, okay, yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I haven't got the soundtrack yet. Maybe if I get the soundtrack and then I listen to it a couple times, I'll be like obsessed with it and be like, oh, this was such a great movie. But I wasn't. I mean, I thought it was a good movie.
Okay, I just want to interrupt to say that this would be so much better if you could see our faces. I'm just saying SJ comes correct with the facial expressions. Too. Yeah, and it would just be like 10 times better if people could see your face. Okay, I'm sorry. Please go on.
I wasn't like, oh, I have to go buy the soundtrack and listen to all these new songs, especially because the singing was... I mean, a lot of the singing was great, but Emma's not that great. But I love you, Emma Watson. Please don't listen to this. I love you.
I think that Emma Watson can handle a critique, so I think she'll be just fine. I think she'll.
I can't separate my feelings from Harry Potter, so.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like a movie that everyone has to see.
No.
I definitely think it's enjoyable. The day after I saw it, I went to a different movie, and I saw this little girl coming out of the theater in her little belle dress.
Aww.
Like, she had just seen it, and I was like, oh, that's so cute! And I have some nieces that are Disney obsessed, and I'm either going to take them to see it, or when it comes out on DVD, have them over and have a little party. I mean, I think that'll be really fun, but it's not for everybody, and there's not really a particular reason that you have to see it, because it's really similar to the original. And you can just listen to the soundtrack, the new soundtrack on YouTube, and check it out from the library when it comes out if you really, really want to see it. But it's not, I mean, and it's fine. It's fun, but it's like...
It's not a must-see.
I can't come up with a reason why you should have to go see it.
No.
Other than just if you want to, which is totally valid. And I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot.
This has been ScreenGab, Beauty and the Beast edition.
What's the opposite of bonjour? Au revoir.
All of a sudden I was like... I took French for 2 years plus some. Why don't I remember this? Au revoir.
Goodbye.